Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zach Brown. Joining with me, as always, is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. And we have a little one joining with us as well because she couldn't stand it. So let's talk about Talladega real quick at the NASCAR Cup Series. Both Xfinity and the Cup Series finished up. Wild races there. The Xfinity, a questionable caution at the end. And in the Cup Series, pretty not very good race for
Pretty
the most
tame.
part. And then at the end, it got a little bit crazy. And there's some disqualifications that we'll mention as well. I think Xfinity overall was a more exciting Talladega race than the Cup Series, but the Cup Series, at least they were going two wide, three wide. And so there's a lot more. I called it. There's going to be more aggressive driving, and there was. So it was better than I expect than it has been in the past. Not the best Talladega race, but it's been better.
Most people want to see the big one, and we just really didn't get it. They were pretty calm. And as far as Xfinity, they took the white flag, and Connor Zilisch got spun, and he hit the inside wall really, really freaking hard. I think that was the main reason for them ending the race right there and not racing around. If it would have just kind of bounced off the wall and no big deal, I think they probably would have raced back to the checkered. But that could have been a very severe hit. So I don't like it, but I think NASCAR probably did the right choice by flagging that one at the end. And the Cup race, they got, you know, I don't know, 15, 20 laps. Nobody made a pass on anybody. I think after the last pit stop, Hendrick's cars were lined up behind Austin Cindric 2, 3, 4, and 5. All they had to do was pull out a line. They would have drove right by him, and they never did it. And they started racing amongst themselves, and here pretty much just ended up that way without a whole lot going on.
Yeah, and when Larson got behind Cindric there at the end, he just could not get anywhere. It would not. It was he was stuck. Now, probably not the worst thing that could have happened to him because that's his best finish by far on these drafting tracks. We never expected him to make it up that high.
He won
So
stage two, I think.
yeah, he I think he had the most stage points out of all the drivers. That's shocking. So I mean, he'll take that. He had a shot to win it. Uh, I thought Joey was going to be able to give him a bigger push on the backstretch to give a shot at Cindric's back bumper and possibly make a move to maybe clear on the outside and make a shot with a move there. It was going to be tight, but for if you're a Larson fan, you're happy with that. You would never expect him to finish a Talladega race. So good on him, good on that crew. Even though he had this pit road speeding penalty early. Now talking about penalties. Joey Logano and Ryan Preece, who finished 2 and 4, if I'm not mistaken, they both got
Yeah.
2 and 5. Logano was fifth. They got DQ'd for failure on post race inspection. Obviously, they're going to try to what's the word I'm looking
Appeal.
for?
Appeal.
Yes, that's the word. I was going to say amend. That's not how it is. Yeah, appeal that. But right now, they have been credited for dead last. Which is a shame for Ryan Preece, especially because that was his career best finish. And he was there at the right place, right time. His boss, both picked the win, and he crashed immediately. Uh, Brett Keselowski, it was one of those. It was, I think, during a pit road cycle, green flag cycle, and it was all chaos. And same with Denny Hamlin got caught up in that too. I think it
Ryan
was
Blaney.
Chastain got loose and on the outside and basically got in Denny Hamlin's way and caused a crash there. So yeah, Talladega had a bunch of stories come out of it, but big stories coming this week. Texas is going to be huge. So let's dive into Texas for NASCAR and then dive into the really big stuff with the sprint car action in Texas. And IndyCar is back at I think it's
Barber Motorsports Park.
yep, that's where they are this weekend, and that'll be their final race until they prepare for the Indianapolis 500. The rest of the month will be dedicated to that. So that will be well, they have the Indy Road Course, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, but everything else will be Indianapolis. So let's dive into NASCAR for Texas. This is the mile-and-a-half track that it's you want it to be good. You really do because Texas is a great state to have racing. It just does not perform like the other mile and a halves, even with this really good package it has. Ironically, the Truck and Xfinity series put on pretty decent shows here. I don't know if it has to do with them being under the lights, well, the Truck series or Xfinity drivers. They're all on about the same level and they can shake it up with one another, and there's enough crashes to make it more entertaining. I don't know. Cup series, it just kind of boring. You can't really make a lot of passes after 20, 25 laps.
Yeah, I just don't know if this new car, I mean, does it just handle too good, too much downforce and just doesn't produce side by side racing? I don't know the answer to it. I do think more horsepower would make the cars harder to drive, but for whatever reason, NASCAR does not seem to want to do that. The only other thing they can really change would be whatever tire compound Goodyear brings. It seems like tires with fall off does seem to make the racing a little more interesting. So I mean, I'm hoping for a good race, but I'm really expecting to be kind of a snoozer. I almost expect you see one person lead almost the whole entire thing, but would not shock me at all.
The thing that'll shake that up is the stage breaks and how you and getting on and off pit road. We've seen a ton of pit road penalties this year that have costed people races or won people races. I think that's going to be key in winning at Texas. Uh, yeah, it just sucks. It's just even the drivers aren't enjoying
Yeah.
Texas. They don't understand why it's like that either. And there's talk that they're going to reconfigure that track possibly the way they did with Atlanta and
Yeah.
make that another drafting track. I mean, if they want to do that, Atlanta's performed.
I would give it a shot. I mean, they've reconfigured it what 3 times now, and it just I don't for whatever reason just does not work. I do not know why.
Well, all three series are here this week. You got the Cup Series, of course, on Sunday. Friday night, the Truck Series. They traditionally put on pretty good races at night. It's a shorter race too. And Xfinity's been performing every single week. They've been
Yeah, they've
really,
had the
really
best
good
races.
races. Yeah, they've been really good. I'm going to say it. The CW is way better than the other broadcasts.
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah, and especially Fox. 5 laps to go. We're going to go side by side at
also
television.
the last lap. How is nobody getting even slightly excited in the booth? Nobody cared. There was like no excitement. They're like, "Yay, Austin Cindric won the race!" Woo! I'm like, that was terrible. There was more excitement on lap 50 that during pit stops than the finish. It was terrible. Like,
Yeah,
get
I
some
don't know.
excitement. Give me jacked up. You listen to the radio broadcast, you want to run through a freaking wall. So I don't know,
Yeah,
but
does it, kind of makes you earn for Junior just kind of getting all excited over
oh,
nothing
he'll
now,
be here
don't
soon enough on on Prime. I'm sure he'll be getting fired, and I'm sure, and I'm if Prime is anything like they do with Thursday Night Football, where it's more or less unhinged Al Michaels and he doesn't care what anybody thinks, what he says, it's actually pretty funny. So it might get pretty crazy on Prime this year on NASCAR. But let's give our NASCAR fantasy lineup for Texas. I made up ground on you, tied mom. We both actually lost our points, and we both tied at 155 points, and you fell at to 91 after
Yeah,
having
I had pretty much
120.
everybody. I had Keselowski crashed, didn't finish. Blaney crashed, didn't finish. Joey Logano was disqualified. I had no shot. I mean, it
Well,
just,
well, you go ahead since you had such bad luck last week, and I'm still last in the league, but I'm slowly making ground up, not to mom, because if we tie, I can't make up
yeah, I'm
ground.
like
So,
120 points behind her now. So
so go
anyway,
ahead
I,
with your lineup.
I, I have no choice this week. So we got to go heavy hitters this week. So in my starters, I have Kyle Larson, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and in my garage, I have Ryan Blaney. Same lineup.
You'll see.
Yeah. So my matchups, I have Tyler Reddick over Chase Elliott. I have Bubba Wallace over Suarez. I have Ross Chastain over Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano over Austin Cindric.
Yep, that's great. The matchups are identical, but our lineups are ever so slightly different. So starting lineup, I've got to go some heavy hitters here too. I think you're going to see a mixture of Chevy and Toyota in this one. Overall, Ford, besides drafting tracks, have not really been performing. So whatever it is, whatever issues they might be having, I don't know. But they've been underwhelming, especially. I know they just won Talladega. Like I said, I'm kind of throwing that out. But other than those tracks, they've been underwhelming. But for this race, I've got Kyle Larson. William Byron, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, and Ross Chastain. And in my garage, I have Tyler Reddick. Feature matchups are all the same. Reddick, Wallace, Chastain, Logano. And the hot pick this week, there's a couple of them. William Byron, Tyler Reddick. It's going to be Toyota versus Chevy, I think, in this race. It says avoid Alex Bowman, maybe, uh, and avoid Kyle Busch. Keep avoiding Kyle Busch. They're done. And the
Yeah.
sleeper is Chase Briscoe this week, so I
Okay.
put him in there. Like I said, I think Joe Gibbs will have a pretty good setups here. Now they won't, at least the ones I picked. So we'll see what we got. Had to go some heavy hitters. I used them a couple times, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's what we're gonna roll with. Now, do we talk about more asphalt? Or do we go right into dirt right now?
You want to do picks? We forgot
Yeah,
to
we
do
forgot
picks last
last
week.
week to do picks.
Yeah.
So go give your race winner for Texas.
So my pick is Christopher Bell. Mom's pick is Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, that's a popular one that everybody's like wanting to happen is Christopher Bell because he's having a pretty big week in Texas, like we'll touch on.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the hot driver right now. One Bristol got third at Talladega. Nobody expected that. Kyle Larson to win Texas. Sorry,
Sorry, Kyle.
at least both of us didn't pick him.
He actually got second at Talladega.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is a runner up because he got DQ'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so dirt racing or keep on asphalt and finish with dirt racing.
Keep on asphalt.
All right, let's just touch on the NHRA four wide. I got the pro stock right. I got that
I
one right.
didn't do so good on this one.
No, you did not. You went bold though. You did go bold,
Yeah.
but that was not Gage Herrera winning the motorcycle. It was Matt Smith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt Smith, which is a sister company to Gianna Evaristo. So there you go. At least had
Yeah.
that. You had
The
the same
team.
idea. Same
Yeah.
idea. And the and Austin Prock went back to back. We probably should have just guessed that.
Well,
Should
I picked his teammates. I thought for sure I had sort of the sisters going, and then I had the HendrickCars.com cars.
yeah, the sisters didn't do great in there. They didn't make the finals. Tony Stewart made another final round for the four wide. He
Yeah.
got third. But our pro stock got first and second, so we kind of know what we're talking about there. So at
Yeah.
least that. Now they are off this week, so I just wanted to touch on that. Basically, we did not pick so well, but it was another exciting week of drag racing. Four wides
Yeah.
is
Brittany
always
Force
exciting.
set an all-time speed record of
On Saturday,
341 something.
yep. It was-
301 mile an hour in the eighth mile.
yeah, and then
They're gonna have to slow those cars down.
I think the top speed might have been 344. There was a
Yeah, it's
four
340 something. It was unreal. But yeah, they're gonna have to slow those cars down. They're gonna have
before
to drop
somebody
those down to like
before somebody gets hurt. Yeah,
easiest way to do it's to lower the nitro. I think they run 90% now, drop it to 80.
but you have people like, don't slow them down. Yeah, well, you also
I
got to
mean,
think about driver
you're gonna
safety.
notice a difference between 340 and 300 mile an hour at the end? Nope.
You either do that or you add different safety measures at the end of the track. That's
Well,
the.
the other thing is they want to shorten it to just an eighth mile, which is going to be
I
stupid.
wouldn't like that. No, just slow them up a little bit. Keep the 1,000 feet instead of a quarter.
Yeah.
Well, they
I mean,
they
it's
already
getting to the
shortened
point
up
where
from
we're
quarter.
getting to the limits of, brakes and tires, like the top field dragsters, and I don't know if funny cars or not, but I don't think they have front wheel brakes.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm
Well,
sure, but I think they
may,
only have.
maybe they will figure out some sort of technology with everything that's going on anymore. They might be able to get something sorted out and um, figure something out that. Yeah, it could get scary. I mean, it's you worry that some of these drivers, and that I mean, it's what they do for a living, but safety and everything has gotten so good lately, especially in drag racing. You don't want to set yourself back another 10 years by something
Yeah.
tragically happening.
Yeah, like some of the tracks like Charlotte and Vegas, they have a huge runoff area. There's other ones like Reading, it's actually relatively short. A couple other ones that, the road actually crosses over at the end of the drag strip and they could, go to the sand trap. They're quite a bit shorter. I mean, these things are like a mile long now, and they're taking everything to stop them. So
It's
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I would think they're going to want to do something. Uh, I know there was a little bit of talk, and I didn't see what they're talking about, an updated rules package for pro stock, probably for, I don't know if it's for next year, the year after. I didn't really see what all. Most of the drivers were not too happy with that, from what I understood. But I guess we'll see when a little more of that comes out the light. We'll see what they say about that one.
Well, I think that does it for a little bit of a safety rant on NHRA, but it's still another solid season for NHRA as we move into IndyCar action. This is IndyCar's final week before they go to Indianapolis for the rest of the month, as they'll hit the road course and, of course, the Indianapolis 500. They're at Barber Motorsports Plex
Park. Park.
Park. Close. I
Yep.
was close.
In
So
Birmingham, Alabama.
there you go. You go ahead and floor is yours on that one.
It's nice. They've pretty much been running street courses, which Indy cars on street courses are okay. I don't know. I still like a permanent racing facility, and this is one of the nicer sports car complexes, throughout the country. It's been around a long time, so I think you're going to see s- some good racing, probably a little closer. Everything's designed permanently to be a racetrack. Where pit boxes are probably better. Seating's better and everything else. I think we're going to see a little better showing.
Yeah, very well could be the popular pick this week's going to be Alex Palou because he dominates on these type of tracks. But let's give our picks for IndyCar like we do when they finally come back. Go ahead with your race winning pick for the IndyCar series.
I'm going to go with Joseph Newgarden. I keep picking Team Penske, and I'm struggling on them a little bit this year, but
Well, I'm picking one. He just got dual citizenship. Now he's finally an American citizen as well. Scott McLaughlin.
okay. I was thinking about that one.
You know what? There's something like, hey, I've got a little bit of momentum now and everything going on. So
Sure.
um,
Why not?
let's give it a shot. It'll be Pillow probably now, but it is what. Now let's finish up with sprint car action. A lot of big news this last couple of weeks. We talked about it last week. Christopher Bell will be racing in Texas for a couple races for the 69K team, one at Texas Motor Speedway and the other at, I think it's Rocket Raceway Park, both in Texas. That'll be Thursday and Friday. Thursday is Christopher Bell's high limit debut. So that would
Yeah.
be at Texas Motor Speedway. And Saturday will be Darren Pittman in the 69K. Now, this week, and I think it was yesterday, it was announced that Interstate Batteries will be the primary sponsor for the 69K team. The car is going to be shown on the screen right here. What a beautiful car that they made. Awesome to see a premier sponsor for the 69K team, as a small team as it is. I think this is probably their biggest sponsor they've ever had.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's just a short term, it's just for the Texas swing. But if things go well, could lead to something else. You know, as of right now, I know they don't have any plans to run the Knoxville Nationals. Never know though. If
You
this
got to
goes well, you get a little sponsorship money. They already have Darren Pittman's already and running another car for Knoxville. Does Christopher Bell hop
we
in the 69K at
we keep
Knoxville?
talking
Would be
about
pretty
that, and
awesome to see.
if this does well, specifically for Interstate Batteries, good advertisement for them. Christopher Bell and Darren Pittman get good finishes this week.
Which ironically, sprint cars do not have a battery, but
Yeah, do not, do not think that it won't happen. Interstate Batteries would not hesitate to put a sponsor on that for Knoxville Nationals.
yeah. Now I don't know if Christopher Bell's would be able to run, because it seems like he's not allowed to run the day before a cup race. So you make it to the A main, which is going to be a Saturday night. But the 69K is one of the few cars that has beat Kyle Larson in a sprint car this year.
There might Christopher Bell might be able to try to have Joe Gibbs make an exception for the Knoxville Nationals.
It could very well be.
It
That
is.
happened with Larson a few years ago.
Yeah, and it worked out for Larson the last couple years. So I I could definitely see the 69K team knows how to get it done at the Knoxville Nationals. Christopher Bell be the best option right now. And I don't know where NASCAR is racing that week in comparison to for the
Yeah, I'm
Nationals.
not
I'm not
sure.
sure. You know, Larson's going to race in it.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of how. I mean, they can fly together. Just go in the same helicopter,
Yeah.
but it
But
just depends.
speaking of the 69K, Ryan Smith, their other driver in the 69K, picked up his probably biggest win of his career, winning the $15,000 to win Keith Kaufman Classic at Port Royal Speedway. You know, track was pretty slick. That car was pretty dialed in at the end. Got to be a pretty good race between he and Chase Dietz right there at the end. So it got pretty exciting. That was a good race. Yeah, so they got a little momentum going. Anxious to see how they do down in Texas. I think they're going to be very
Ryan
fast.
Smith's a heck of a driver too. He
No,
is.
he's a good driver.
Yeah, it's been impressive to see him get in that car. So I'm looking up Knoxville Nationals is August 6th through the 9th. I'm looking up the NASCAR schedule um, and see what August 6th through 9th is. Just curious. Let's get over here. It'd be tougher. It's at Watkins Glen.
Okay.
Not the easiest, but I mean, it's doable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, a couple hour plane ride. It's
Yeah, and well, then the positive thing is you wouldn't have like a rain delay for practice or qualifying, and if for any reason, so they can just knock that out and get it done. So we'll see. We'll see if it works out.
I don't this is just speculation on our part. There's nothing been
Yeah, I mean,
said.
each week seems like there's a new news article, so we will kind of be left in suspense, just like everybody else. But I expect Chris Bell to do good things this weekend. I think Darren Pittman will too. I think it'll be an exciting week of sprint car action. And tonight, as we're speaking, no, tomorrow night is High Limit. High Limit's Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday this week. And Friday they are off. And Outlaws are at Eldora, making their first run to Eldora before they head back for the Kings Royals. So a lot of big sprint car action this week. David Gravel still holds the lead in the sprint World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. But in second place, surprisingly, Logan Schuchart. And I think that might have been your dark horse
That
this
was
year.
sort of my, yeah. I don't know if it was really a dark pick, but we were decided we weren't going to pick like Gravel or
Yeah.
Macedo
So he's
type
he's
thing.
there. He's got a shot. He's going to have a good summer. And it's all about having a really good summer. And it really starts now. We're getting into May. That's really when the summer is going to start. So
Yeah.
I think that does it for this week. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, share anywhere you get your podcast, social media platforms, all of that fun stuff. And we'll see you guys next week. And we'll see how Christopher Bell does in the 69K. So everybody have a good one.
All right. Thanks for watching.